Good afternoon, and welcome to the Independent Business Alliance's webinar, Small Business, Banding Together Through COVID. I am Christine Kernan, Vice President of the Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber, and I'm pleased to bring to you today a panel discussion of businesses from Hamilton, Pennington, and Princeton communities who will share tips, tactics, and strategies they've implemented to drive business during the pandemic. But first, I would like to thank our sponsor, First Bank, a great supporter of the IBA program and small business throughout the region. And now I would like to bring up Thomas Fayen Jr., Senior Vice President and Retail and Business Banking Market Manager for the Northern and Central New Jersey regions of First Bank, to say a few words. Tom?
Thank you, Christine. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of myself and my colleagues at First Bank, I'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining us. I'd like to extend an additional thank you to the Princeton Mercer Chamber for organizing this wonderful event. We're looking forward to a very interesting and informative session. I'll tell you a little bit about First Bank. First Bank is a $2 billion community bank with offices throughout New Jersey and Eastern Pennsylvania, providing lending and cash management services to small and medium-sized businesses. Independent businesses are vital to our success as well as the communities in which we live and operate. Our philosophy at First Bank is based on the importance of building relationships. Our motto is life is better with a personal banker. A personal banker is someone who knows you well, can be easily reached, and can help guide you on important banking decisions. We look to pursue win-win outcomes to provide the best solutions for our customers. So I encourage you to take a visit at one of our First Bank locations. I want to, without any further ado, I want to thank everybody, and I'll turn it back to Christine. Christine?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, and really thank you for all your support. Now I would like to introduce our moderator for today's program, Esther Tanner, President of SDR Inc. Esther is a proud mother of 3 boys. In 1999, she founded Simple Tax and Bookkeeping LLC. She has been in the insurance industry since 1988 and specializes in personal and commercial lines. Esther's primary focus is on small businesses. She helps small businesses with their insurance needs and offers additional services, including bookkeeping, educational workshops, and personalized guidance. Esther is the host of an online series titled Journey of an Entrepreneur and Hey Esther Show, which is featured on social media. Esther's goal is to serve her clients with expertise and to develop a close-knit relationship that lasts generation to generation. Esther and Simple Tax Bookkeeping service clients in both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Esther will be introducing our panelists and get the conversation started. So thank you, Esther, for being with us this afternoon. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, I am excited to be here today with all of you, sharing a little bit about what is happening in the business world. As you all know, we have been through a challenging time, to say the least, right? That pandemic. And we're going to be talking to 3 talented business owners right here in Mercer County, what they have done to pivot and make the changes they had to make as the pandemic hit us and is still with us, and still grow their business and serve the community as they chose to do. So we're going to start with Gary. Gary Garrido Schneider currently serves, and I'm sorry, yep, time for glasses. Gary Garrido Schneider currently serves as the Executive Director of Grounds for Sculpture, where he has set a vision to expand its impact as a leader, creative magnet, and vibrant space that invites a diverse public to create, learn, and discover personal meanings in their interactions with art, artists, nature, and one another. Throughout his career, he has been committed to cultivating human connections, community building, and lifelong learning that can occur through the arts and within the museum. Hi, Gary.
Hello, Esther.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Our next guest is Chris Murphy, a dynamic woman, I have to tell you. This year, Chris Murphy celebrated owning the front porch for 23 years, my friends. Her passion since graduating from college was to own her own business. Prior to the front porch, Chris worked for Johnson & Johnson in sales and marketing And in July 1997, Chris bought the front porch. Chris has definitely seen the good, the bad, and the ugly during those 23 years. I bet, right, Chris?
Yep.
Never did she would imagine would have to well, sorry, would imagine to have to manage the business throughout the pandemic. Over the past 8 months, she has reinvented her business model. As a result, she has been able to stay open while so many other small gift shops have gone out of business. Chris is so strong believer that you never ever give up, and we're all in this together. And she's very thankful to still be standing in the support of her wonderful staff. Hey, Chris, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I am looking forward to interviewing you all. But our last and not least guest is Kathy Clonker Brink, co-owner of Jam and Crepes. And Kathy welcomes the second chapter of her professional life. What started as a passion for cooking with fresh food and bringing people together around the table has evolved into creating a cafe with her own 2 business partners, where we get to share the best of seasonal and sustainable in Princeton community. And let me tell you, her food is delicious. If you haven't been there, you need to come down to Princeton. Kathy's first career was in the field of early intervention, where she moved from Grenoble, France for 7 years, where she expanded her culinary skills, enrolling in classes and cooking with French friends whenever possible. She also has, she started as a farmer's market in 2001 and evolved with her partners to a storefront. So now she runs a farmer's, one of her trucks, as well as a brick and mortar business. And Kathy, I'm so excited to have you. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So let's get started, people. I am looking forward to hearing all about you. And let's start with you, Gary. Tell me a little bit, since you reopened the Grounds for Sculpture. Tell me what's happening, what's going on. Just share with us a little bit.
Yeah, no, we started this year with the unfortunate and sad passing of our founder, Seward Johnson. So those of the audience that knows Grounds for Sculpture would know his artwork. He's a sculptor and a Johnson & Johnson heir, but was quite a presence at the park and at Rat's Restaurant for all of our visitors. And he unfortunately passed away within 2 or 3 days before we had to close the park for the pandemic. So it was really a dark time for the organization, right? But we were able to respond and make some pivots so that we were able to open. We were able to open a lot earlier than a lot of other arts organizations. So we opened back to the public in July. We have a smaller staff, smaller budget now. We made some, changes to our capacity to make sure that it's a safe experience for folks, requiring people to buy tickets online and in advance so that we can control how many people are there on a given day. And we've seen really great response. I think people are craving outdoor experiences. They're looking for safe places to gather with friends after months of being in isolation. And the Grounds has proven to be that, since we opened in July, and we're seeing, we're selling out with our limited capacity. So we know that there's demand, that people are looking for things to do, with their kids crawling up the walls in the house and all of us on Zoom all day looking for some of that fresh air.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you haven't been to Grounds for Sculpture, it is magnificent. Even the trails, walking around with all the gardens, and it's just beautiful. And it's a great way to be outside safely. So I could imagine that people do want to attend your spot there. And I also wanted to ask you a little bit, is there anything happening this season, anything special that you want to share with our members?
Yeah, I'm giving a little bit of a clue to how beautiful the park looks when it snows. So we are open 4 seasons, and the park really is quite beautiful all year round. And normally we scale back a little bit in the winter, but seeing how people are really looking forward to getting outside, we think that people are going to be a little less adverse to going out in the cold this winter. And so we're open year round, and we have discounted $10 tickets. So for those that haven't visited us, it's a little bit of a lower ticket price to give it a try.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gary. I want to jump onto Chris. She's so full of energy, and I had the opportunity to hear a little bit of her story. So the first question I have for you, Chris, is what was the number one reason that you survived when so many stores like yours have had to shut down? So I can't wait to hear your answer.
Okay, I just want to make sure you can hear me.
I could hear you.
Okay, all right. So a lot of us remember the magic date, March 16th, right? You're done. But it was only going to be for 2 weeks. Wrong. So 2 weeks after this shutdown, we made the decision, either I'm going to give up, or as I always told my son, you never give up. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to practice what I preach. So we were, quote unquote, closed, but open. And we were doing all of our selling from inside the store without customers via video, FaceTime, house party, pictures, whatever it took. Ironically, I had gotten a free phone from AT&T that we were using for the store. Little did I know how important this phone would be. This is how people talk to us. They text us. This is if you as a small business do not have a separate cell phone for your store, this is the best investment you will ever make. So we thought, all right, we can't just do videos. We can't just do FaceTime and all that good stuff. So my son Murph, who now is 26, said, "Ma, you have to go live. You have to go live on Facebook." Scared me half to death. I've been told to do this for 10 years. All right, let's do this thing. So he came up with the logo, Coffee with Chris. So the middle of April, we decided we would do Coffee with Chris live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay, so in my mind, I'm thinking, we're going to be reopening middle of June. We're done with this. I'm not going to do this Coffee with Chris anymore. Ironically, our customers, even very good customers, as a result of us going live, saw things in here that they never saw when they came in the store. All right, so that's one piece of it. The other piece that we did was, if you're a retail store, you know you do events. We decided to do our events virtually. So we started to do virtual open houses. We would have 2 to 3 manufacturers. They could be anywhere in the country. We've had them from California. I had one last night from Massachusetts. We go live on Facebook and Zoom, and in an hour, we're able to show all kinds of wonderful things to our customers.
I love it.
Ironically, in my mind, I thought, once this baby opens up, we're done. But I will tell you, it has changed my business model. We're working fewer hours being open. We're only open 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. But you know what? In many ways, there is a silver lining to this. And it really has forced us to do things that we've never done before. And I think it's a way, as we fondly refer to it, to compete with the Amazon bee.
Chris, I love it. I am a big, if anybody knows me personally, they know that the live shows, I'm very big on that. I love that. I love that you took that courage to jump in. You're very charming, and I'm sure that you're very eloquent and informed in your products, and people connect to that. Today, people want to connect to you, the person. Who is the person behind the store? Why did you start your business? I love it. But I don't want to take up time because I have Kathy, who's from Jam and Craves right here in town in Princeton, New Jersey. Her food is delicious. But Kathy, talk to me a little bit about you. I know that you have a great history. You study in France, how to cook. You have a farmer's market. I want to hear all about it. Talk to me.
So I feel very fortunate. I have 2 great partners, and we all bring something different to the table. And I think that has been such a strength of our business model. And when we started looking, we were friends beforehand, and discovered that we had both the same shared dream, and that was to open a creperie. And as I will say to my business partner, Kim, I'm rather work with you than against you. And so she has an amazing palate, and we started off in the West Windsor Farmers Market. And the first market, we were swamped and we were like, wow. And the number one question people kept on asking us, where's your storefront? And we were like, wow, okay. And so we did this for a couple of years, and truly so many people were asking us that question that it gave us the faith to take the big leap and go brick and mortar. So it took us a little bit of time to find a space. We opened October 14th, 2014. Unbeknownst to us, it was Parents' Weekend at Princeton University. So we had a very steep learning curve, but we, you know what, there was similar to what kind of Chris was saying before, there's no room for failure. You just keep reinventing yourself, figuring out what works and what doesn't work. It goes out the door and you come up with an alternative until you find what is really going to make you successful. We have had an amazing amount of support from the community. We love being a part of the community. It is kind of what got us to doing what we're doing, being able to showcase what's in season, the local farmers, the local community resources. And those are the aspects that have kind of supported us through this endeavor. It has encouraged us to recreate ourselves again and to strengthen our ties with our community leaders and our community resources. And you know what, we are here to say that we're gonna be okay, and we're gonna never stop learning.
Of course. And I love the fact that you say there's no room for failure, because the reality is all those bumps on the roads really make you stronger, and it's a learning moment to get better, right? To improve. So, you know, the fact that Chris jumped into something so different, and you are taking that shift and listening to the audience, right? They were saying, where's your store? And you listened carefully and thought, okay, this is the time to open a brick and mortar, right? A storefront right here on Nassau Street. I love that, because every business owner has to have their eyes peeled and their ears open. That's what I say. Anyway, I want to jump back to Gary, if you want to mute yourself. Okay, thank you, Gary. And you have at your place the most fabulous restaurant called Rats. And I just want to know, what is Rats doing? I know it's kind of a weird name, but I love it. I went there for dinner one night and I just didn't want to leave. It's just a beautiful spot, quaint, gorgeous. The food is magnificent. Let me stop. Kathy, Gary, Gary, you tell them how wonderful it is. Tell me.
Oh, so if you haven't been to Rats, it's a French menu, sort of countryside cafe menu, actually restaurant menu. The outside gardens are inspired by Monet's garden at Giverny, so it's quite an immersive, romantic kind of experience. They closed like all the other restaurants in our area, and we all know the restaurants in all our towns in downtown Princeton have really had a hard go of it and have had to really reimagine their business. So one of the things that Rats did immediately was they were able to get some government contracts to be able to produce over 1 million meals for the food insecure. So they were able to turn the kitchen at Rats as well as the kitchen at the cafe on the garden side to push out all these meals that from early spring through the end of September were really providing a lifeline for families in need. It also allowed them to have the revenue stream from these government contracts to employ some of our employees at Rats, many of them that have been with us for 20 years. So, it's a big responsibility when you have employees as well as the community you're serving. So they've been really great. We work with an outside company called Constellation Catering Group, which does the food service at the New York Botanic Garden, the Philadelphia Museum, the Barnes Museum, the Clark up in the Berkshires. So a real leader in the restaurant industry. We were their first cultural client, about 10 years ago. And so we have great partners who were able to kind of weather the storm and be really creative. We were lucky to have really large outdoor seating spaces. So like while a lot of restaurants had to build outdoor tents and really kind of pivot, we just opened the door to the patio. Yeah. We've recently been able to reopen indoors, and we're watching closely, as those rules continue to change particularly as cases rise. But the restaurant's been really adaptive. And people have been, coming out. I've had a number of dinners there with some guests, and they've put in new safety protocols. They've got a great menu, spaced seating, so that you have your own kind of space. So it's really been great to see the restaurant be able to open back up.
Gary, that is impressive to go from such a delicious setting, very homey, to serving the ones in needs. It really speaks volumes of your organization to pivot that way and serve others that may not have the opportunity to eat your delicious food. So I am totally impressed by all of you guys, but I have to say, I am respect to you for making that shift and willing to serve others. And I love that. A lot of people don't realize that working together, it does strengthen you. And, finding these partners and these relationships and these contracts, looks like it took the restaurant Rats to a whole different level. And who would have thought that in the middle of pandemic, you would be growing?
No, and I think a lot of people that have eaten at Rats, it's a luxurious kind of experience.
It is.
And so I'm really proud that that they were able to pivot and do that. They also partnered with Homefront Services, the housing insecure in the Trenton and Mercer County area, around their annual fundraiser, which had to be canceled, like so many other the nonprofits we all support and people rely on. And so Rats also pivoted to have a sort of a gala picnic on the go, that their gala supporters as well as their patrons were able to participate and sort of take a Rats meal on the go as a way of supporting Homefront. So
I love that. I love that. That's impressive. I want to go back to Chris for a second. And Chris, I know that you shared a little bit about going live and having your new logo within your company, because this is a separate thing, right? Your Coffee with Chris. And I love the logo. I mean, say my congratulations to your son for being so creative. But tell me some of the activities that you have shared in going through live and Zoom. What were some of the activities you were able to do to continue to sell online, right? Because you were not open at that moment.
For 3 months, we were what we called closed but open. But I don't know if people know what just happened to me, but what just happened to me is my computer went down, which is exactly what I was warned about when you go live on Facebook.
Right.
If you make a mistake, and I'm going to tell you, I've been upside down, I've been green, I've been sideways, and the words have read backwards. When you go out and you do this, just plan that you're going to have to laugh at yourself. People love it because we all make mistakes. So I just really want to remind everybody of that. You just don't take yourself too seriously. You just can't. And you just got to breathe. But during those 3 months, I think what's really great about this, and I'll just give you one example. We were closed but open during Mother's Day. Mother's Day is that weekend is what? Second biggest holiday of the year. I think it really should be first. But my son's coach from lacrosse, from the high school, he called me and he said, I need something. I want something for my wife. So he gave me an idea. We put together a video for him. We showed him 15 different items. And what he came back to us and said was, usually he would come in here by himself. Instead, he was able to sit at home at night with his 2 girls, and they picked out the special gifts for their mother. This is the type of service we have been able to provide. And in many ways, I do believe we are giving better customer service today than we were prior to March 16th. We are spending more time with our customers. We know very much who they are. And I think it's a time that if you've got that relationship with your customers, they will never forget you. And many times they have thanked me on being on Coffee with Chris, because a lot of people are out there alone. Yeah. And it gave them an opportunity to be talking to someone. So So
That's beautiful, Chris. I love it. I love that. And you're absolutely right. There are a lot of people that are alone that don't have any family members, or they had to live by themselves because they're at high risk and couldn't have their family members with them. So it's lovely not only to be able to stay in business, but the fact that you gave comfort and some kind of connection to the community. It's fantastic. I love you guys. I'm so impressed by you guys. Oh, Kathy, I went to your place the other day. As you know, we're hosting this event this weekend, and I saw all these employees. What do you do to get them motivated and keep them excited about still working? I know that they're very grateful to be working, but the spirit, sometimes they go home and they get to hear bad news about their families. What do you do, Kathy? Tell me.
Well, I think, it's twofold. It's one is, I think, is really trying to be connected to the staff. And as Chris was saying, it's also being connected to the customers. And we have a really loyal following in terms of our customer base. And we have people that come in every day. And it was particularly clear to us when the pandemic first hit. So we never closed our doors, but we obviously things shrunk significantly. But there were a number of guests that they were just there every day for us and thanking us, and it was very reciprocal, right? They were helping and supporting us emotionally, and we in turn actually were providing a certain amount of support for them as well, and support and reminding them that things are going to be okay, that there can be some semblance of normalcy as we try to figure out what the new normal is going to be in the pandemic. So I think that's part of it. And when we first, as we were making the transition to being more online, takeout services and things like that, to me, the thing that was one of the biggest hurdles for all of us, we run on the energy of our guests in the storefront. We like to call it controlled chaos when we're really busy on a Saturday and Sunday, and there's just all this energy and people and talking and food, and it's like everything I come from an Italian background. It's everything you want at the table. And all of a sudden that was gone. And that really took a lot of energy, I think, from myself and the partners to really try to give that back to the staff so that they could then give it back to each other and to the customers coming in. So now that we're kind of falling into a much more normal pace, it's kind of more self-sustaining. But yeah, I think it's actually had a lot more to do with the customers and how they were there for us from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. There's different angles, and you're correct, from your employees to your customers and the energy of connecting. And what I'm hearing is that all of you took your time to be creative and pivot and take your businesses from that walk-in to online, whether it was through social media. Kathy, did you do a little bit of social media as well? I know that you took it online so that people can order and pick up curbside and all that good stuff, which I'm sure was very challenging. Tell me a little bit about your social media presence, if you guys do that as well.
We do. We have a really strong social media presence, actually. And, what was interesting is prior to the pandemic, we had certain ideas that we were kind of percolating and saying, okay, we're going to do this with some retail products. We're going to explore the online. But we were so busy with the walk-in customers that we were like, okay, well, we'll get back to that. We'll get back to it. And then when the pandemic hit, we were very thankful that we had at least explored some of this in the past. And then, we kind of divided and conquered between the three of us and looking at each individual's skill set and what was going to be the most efficient way to get this going. And so Kim was a machine in the kitchen in terms of modifying our menu, working with our vendors to try and incorporate them into some of our we created a Sunday brunch program, for example, and she worked with our vendors and said, okay, look, we used to buy X number of dollars from you, but now we can't. However, we can sell some of your products to our customers on our Sunday brunch menu. So you tell us what you have, and then we'll allow people to order it. And we were just a pass through. It wasn't we were taking anything off of it. We just wanted to get that vendor as much activity as we could. And we partnered with Bent Spoon and Small World and Sprouts Flowers. And we were like, okay, so these are all vendors that, we already use their products in the store. And so how can we maybe sell some of their stuff on a retail basis as well?
That's
So,
fantastic.
and so, we had the social media, just, putting it out there between Facebook, Instagram, the photo shoots, the spontaneous actions, and then what was happening in the kitchen, and then how did we adapt basically on the bottom line. So how could we, make enough to keep the doors open? Who can we bring back? And then also just creating a safe pod. I mean, we were very careful about who we brought in, how we trained them. We had them all go through COVID-19 training for Serve Safe, because we wanted them to be safe and we wanted our customers to know that they would be safe coming in. And so truly it was, I'm thankful for 3 people, because I think for one person to do all of this, it would have been possible, but it would have been overwhelming.
Absolutely. So Kathy, that's a good point. Let's talk about that a little bit. The reality is that we are in the middle of a pandemic, and we've had some spikes, right? Due to good weather, people gathering, having parties and all that good stuff. And we all have staff that we have to now ask them to get tested. And how do you for those that have staff, how do you handle that in with your employees, and reassuring your clientele that it's a safe zone, right? So Gary, why don't you start, as Kathy already shared a little bit of her processes.
Yeah, no, I think for our admin staff, we've all been working from home. So like a lot of businesses, we've had to shift to that kind of work environment. But the experience of the park is an in-person one. So we have quite a bit of staff that are on the front line, both the people that are welcoming the guests. We've got the gardeners that are taking care of the 42 acres, as well as all the new cleaning protocols we've had to institute. So we've really been mindful of the demand of people wanting to come to the park, but consciously we weren't required to limit our attendance. We chose to limit our attendance to 40%. One, to make sure that the environment was safe and people had the perception that it's safe. And all our surveys from visitors, over 90% say they feel that that the care to safety precautions in the crowd has been managed well enough that they feel safe. But we really made all the decisions, the staff have been at the forefront. We needed to make sure that the staff were healthy and safe, that they wanted to come to work. They felt like that we were taking their safety. I have the benefit or the privilege of being able to work from home most of the time to get my job done. But our gardener needs to be there when there's 900 people coming through the park in a day. The person that's at the ticket booth has to. So we've really been very careful to think about the frontline staff, and we've had all staff meetings where regularly we've shifted protocol, we've added new signs, we've closed certain areas, we've modified our rules about masks. Earlier in the season, it was a little bit more recommended, and we got a little bit stronger with our language, just as we felt the need to kind of ensure that there was some, a little bit more adherence to it. So it's been a lot of shifting and adjusting mid-play.
I bet. And I find that a lot of the business owners are not only protecting their staff, they're also protecting their customers, and are very cautious, right? So talking about that, Chris, I know that you opened your doors. So tell me a little bit about some of the process that you've taken in place. I know that your place is has a smaller than Gary's, right? He just said 900 people. My heart went, oh, what? 900
and
people?
That's 40%. That's
40%. I don't even fit 3 people in my office, let alone 900.
It's interesting when you mentioned about the guidelines and everything. I mean, we probably could have more people coming in here than we do. But as a team, when we were allowed to open on, I believe the magic day was June 15th, we made a decision initially, let's let 2 people in at a time. It just made everybody feel comfortable. So we offer to them, we implemented a calendar program. So basically what we say to people is, if you're in a rush You go right on our website. You can book an appointment, which gives you priority. In most cases, the flow went pretty well. We're now up to allowing 3 people in at a time. But we have the hand sanitizer at the door. It's a wonderful aloe-based 6-hour protectant that, of course, we also sell. And we require a mask. Everybody wears a mask. And even it's gotten to the point in here, we leave masks on all times, even if there's not a customer in the house, just to make sure that everybody is safe. That's what we do. So I think I've had people standing outside waiting to come in. We had a line last weekend, and I went out to them and I say, thank you. And the key thing here is we want to keep everybody safe. And I really think I have not had one person get upset when we say we want to keep you safe.
That's awesome. Chris, you mentioned something about if the person wants a little bit more time or private time in shopping, how do you handle that?
I've been offering off-hour appointments. So I do have a few people, or like I have a very good customer from Connecticut who comes down here to see her mother. As soon as I saw that they had booked an appointment, I called her and I said, would you prefer a private appointment? I would love a private appointment. So they came in here after we closed. There are certain customers that, you know, they just feel more comfortable being in here by themselves. I live a mile up the street. I told them I will shop with you any way you want to shop. Any way you want to shop, we want to shop with you. And we've really pushed that we will be your personal shopper. I think now more than ever, nobody has any time. They have no time to do anything. So we're trying to take that load off their plate for them.
I love the creativity, and you know, it makes somebody very special, especially I cannot imagine somebody saying to me, yes, so come to my store off hours and do your shopping on your own and I'll help you. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fancy. I think it's fantastic that you're giving this to the everyday person and have them have the opportunity to feel safe, because there's some people that are high risk or taking care of family members that are much higher risk, and the opportunity to still do their shopping privately is fantastic. Chris, you're amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, I love it. So here are some golden nuggets. You know, Kathy shared about how she pivoted, you know, and listened to the demand of having a storefront, how she then changed her ordering to be on curbside, you know, the ability to have partners and think of ideas and get on social media and partner up with local businesses. Kathy, that is phenomenal that you offer your place, your platform to sell other people's product at no gain for herself, just the gain of helping community, which is what Princeton and a lot of these small towns are all about. You know, talking about Princeton, this weekend, we're having this passport program that we're hoping that you will come into town safely with your mask, sanitize your hands, keep your social distance, and meet some of the local businesses. There's some beautiful stores and a lot of donations. And I have to tell you, check out the Princeton Merchant Association website. The prices are crazy. These people are phenomenal. They gave some beautiful gifts. But enough about that. Go check out the website. Make sure you come down to Princeton this weekend. And let's wrap up a little bit here, because I'm sure there's going to be people with questions. But let's go over some of the highlights. The video worked. The social media worked. The working together with your partners and partnering up with local businesses worked. The giving back to community. Gary, giving back to community. I mean, to serve those that are not being, there's a lot of hunger today. People don't realize that there's a lot of people at home who have lost their jobs. Their husbands and wives have lost their jobs and are struggling. This is real, my friend. And to be part of that, that's wonderful, Gary. I love that. Is there anything else, Kathy, that you can share with our audience? Anything else that you feel that would be great for them to listen to?
So, you know, one of the things that we saw was, again, when the pandemic hit, was we had also been involved with a couple of different nonprofits in the community. And we saw how their goals from their fundraising was being impacted. And Gary, you mentioned a little bit about that as well, and how you partnered up with Homefront. And what we found was doing some virtual programming out of our kitchen was a great way to support nonprofit organizations and their efforts to reach out to get their goals. So, you know, we did different kinds of programming depending on the organization, but basically we offered programs in our kitchen, and people could either make a donation or there was a set fee. Some organizations downloaded the training, and then people could hop onto that website at a later date and then pay a donation to then see the class. So that was really interesting.
Wonderful.
And then in Princeton also, another woman, Blair Miller, has started a group called Mr. Rogers Neighborhood. And that's been a really wonderful program as well. So she's doing this she's a great mediator for serving the people who are food insecure, and then also a way to support businesses. So for example, in our shop, we've set up bags of soup, right? You can buy a quart or a pint. And if you pick up that bag, you can purchase it. And then we have a set date that we then go bring the soups down to their distribution. And it's just been a great way for people to support local, to support us. And in turn, we can then go and feed a local program and our neighbors in need. So it's been really fun to see how people have become creative and how they can work together and support each other and kind of sustain a sense of what we were familiar with prior to the pandemic.
It's awesome. Awesome. I love it. You know, there's two things that, there's one thing that definitely the chamber offers all their members. It's through your Town Tube, your videos. My God, if you're not taking advantage of those videos and putting it on a free platform. I mean, Mike and Gabby are phenomenal at helping you, whatever you need in videotaping. So that's part of your membership. Take advantage of that. I tell all my people that I am assigned to be their mentor. And the other thing that I think that everyone should start doing, believe it or not, TikTok. I know. Everybody thinks the words of TikTok. But today, TikTok has created a channel, what's called Learner, and it attracts other people that are interested, and it follows people that are interested in what you're offering. It is the best and the fastest way to create visibility at no cost. Zero. I'm going to start my own channel too. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe it's about insurance. It's about business. I have no idea. But anyway, let's start with our Q&A and let's see what's here available. Well, I have just a comment. It says here, thank you so much for sharing your stories. When this thing is all over, I'm curious which activities that you've implemented in these past months will stick, the Facebook Lives or the online stores? What do you got? What is your answer, Gary? We'll start with Gary.
Yeah, I think some of the partnerships that we've developed, we partnered with the Mercer County Parks Commission on some joint art workshops that were part Zoom and part in person. And we've had some variety of programs where you can come and pick up materials and take them and do them at home. And I think there will be parts of that will continue. And we realize that we can actually have a reach that's much broader beyond just our local site.
That's awesome. What about you, Chris? Do you think Live will still be alive?
Live will still be alive. We'll do that. I am going to say this to you. We, at this point, well, for the holidays, we're open 6 days a week, but we are only open 5 hours a day. So we're doing 1 to 6 Tuesday through Friday and 12 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. And of course, our after-hour appointments are available. Then after the holidays, we're going to go back to the 5 days a week and be closed Sunday and Monday. Selfishly, it's given me my life back. So based on the feedback we've received from people, they want us to continue with Coffee with Chris. I'm going to do that. It's a way to get to people that don't get to get in the store. 2, our virtual open houses that we started, we are going to continue those because once again, we finally are getting to those busy people that don't have time to come to the events in the store. So I think what we're going to do is just probably expand this. We are also starting to sell online, and that probably also will be be part of the mix, but we're to the point here. However somebody wants to buy from us,
That's
we
good.
can let you buy from us anyway.
You know, Chris, you last weekend was Saturday, Small Business Saturday, right?
Yes, it was.
Did you have the limited hours as well?
Yes, we did.
How do you do?
So here's how we did last weekend. And I mentioned earlier, it really should be Small Business Saturday every day, just saying. But for last weekend, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We were open for a total of 15 hours. Last year, for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we were open for a total of 20 hours. When I did the addition for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, much to my surprise, we were within $400 of what we did last year.
That's fantastic.
It's thanks to the wonderful support of our customers. I will tell you, they come in with a focus, and as a result, our average ticket has gone up.
Wow, that's
Yep.
fantastic. Kathy, tell me, what do you think about this Facebook Live and the social media and the online, selling, especially the curbside pickup? What do you think about? Would that continue?
So for us, it will. So the next challenge I see when things start to open up more is how do we balance the dining in with the online services? And so the unknown for us right now is how much online ordering will we get? Will it replace? Will it be in addition to the walk-in service? And so that's going to be the biggest challenge for us because we still have a limited amount of space. And so we will continue to think outside the box. We will continue to reinvent ourselves. And in the interim, we're just going to be very thankful for the online orders and the walk-ins that we do have. We put outside heaters for our guests. So as long as it's not rainy and too windy, we have seating that can keep people warm. And then we can also, we are preparing for inside dining, but we want to make sure that the staff is comfortable and that our guests are comfortable, because our space is going to be a little bit smaller, I think, than what you have, Gary.
Yeah.
And so we've been working with the designer to create some really clever and fun barriers between, seating for 12. But it's going to take a little bit more time for us to kind of refine that process.
I have one more question. How is the uncertainty of COVID spreading and the vaccines come having an effect on your planning and goals for 2021?
I think it's going to be very spontaneous. I think
Yeah.
you kind of look at what you've been able to do. The good and the bad thing is the pandemic came in March, right? So you were not quite through your first quarter. So you have 3 quarters that can kind of tell you what you can expect, and then kind of build your model off of that for 2021 with the
Right.
hopes that maybe by the 3rd quarter next year, I don't foresee us being back up to where we were right away. I think it's going to take time to see how people are confident. So it's to be determined, but I think we have enough data for our business anyway to say at least we made it through the first 3 quarters, well, almost the first 3 quarters. And so we have a sense of what our staffing, sales, kind of worst case scenario, best case scenario will be.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So just so that you know, to the audience, put in your questions. We are asking questions on what there's no question that is not important. Please do share your questions. I'm going to ask one more. What else could government, including local governments, be doing to boost your pivots and protect your entrepreneurial businesses? Do you have any idea of anything else that maybe our mayors and governors and all these wonderful people who have the pressure to keep us safe, right?
Yeah, I can speak, briefly to that from the perspective of Grounds for Sculpture and residing in Hamilton. So the Hamilton has the Hamilton Partnership and also Shop Hamilton. which are two really great organizations that are supporting local business, but also connecting our businesses directly to the mayor and the Department of Economic Development. And they've been really responsive to adapting to changes. Quite a number of things. Restaurants that don't have an outdoor dining like Rats does have had to seek variances to have outdoor tents or to have heaters outside, and the township has been really responsive and adaptive, hosting restaurant meetings so the restaurateurs could get together and share what those challenges were so that the town could nimbly respond to that. And they've been doing that in other ways as well. There's a business directory that they're developing, realizing that the businesses in Hamilton have not been as cohesive, and that's been a challenge for them to even communicate directly new protocols or things coming from the township. There's been some great grants that the town has sought and that have been able to then turn around and give to businesses. And I know similarly in similar meetings that I know from business owners in downtown Princeton have been regularly in contact with
Yes.
township. So
Actually, we have more money to give for local businesses in Princeton who might
Yeah.
be struggling. We still have a little bit more money left to give.
it's been amazing.
It's been wonderful. I mean, and Kathy can attest to this. Our mayor, Liz, and along with our councilwoman, Michelle Lambros, have been phenomenal. They jumped right in. They educated us on a weekly basis through our Zoom calls. They kept us aware of what's happening in town, and they are doing
Yeah.
everything they can to support the local business. I don't know if there's anything else that they can do, but I am very proud to be part of the Princeton community as a business owner, because not many mayors did that. Not many mayors got on calls and said, here's what's happening and look what we're doing for you. So I'm very grateful. But I'm sure in Pennington, tell me about Pennington.
I have to just say,
Mhm.
I am very proud that Pennington, in March, when this shut down, I'm on the Economic Development Commission, and I'm going to do a shout out to Michelle Needham and Kit Chandler. And I'm also going to do a shout out to Joe Lovler, who is our mayor. They got it together, and it's like, how are we going to help? And I just have to show you this. Just happen to have, I don't know if this is going
That's
forward or not.
beautiful.
This is a result of teamwork. And I had a lot of other businesses throughout the state call me and say, how did you get your town to be so supportive? We
Okay.
don't have that kind of support. So I just want to applaud this. And we actually put a huge banner over by the Pennington Market that every time somebody pulled out of that parking lot, they saw this.
That's
And
awesome.
every business was able to be up on the library website with their hours saying exactly what they were doing. And once again, I'm going to give a shout out to Michelle Needham because I know she's a member of the chamber. And we now have this sign redone with a holiday motif. So it now has a little bit of red and a bow. So
That's awesome.
shout out to the small town of Pennington.
It's so beautiful to see how the communities have all responded, protecting their business owners, right, Kathy? And
Yeah.
helping each other. I had the opportunity. I'm part of also the PMA and the Princeton Chamber. I mean, they have educated us, done a whole bunch of events, but locally in Princeton, the PMA is extremely active trying to help the small business owner. And I got to walk around and speak to a lot of retailers. I love how they're so just positive and hopeful and working together. It's not common. And so we are very lucky to be in communities that do that. I think I have one more question. Yes, this is coming from Tom. He says, crisis times seem to always spawn new breakthrough. Oh, it's moving. Okay, no breakthroughs in, oh, it's moving. In arts, music, and other creative fields. Any plans, Gary, to feature any new artists from our region?
Yeah, Tom, thanks for that question. It's, we've talked a little bit we've been talking a lot about the crisis, the COVID crisis, and the economic results of that. But, we've also had another crisis that we've kind of has occupied a lot of attention this year, and that's the country coming to terms with decades of racism. And that businesses and institutions are all trying to find ways that they can respond to that. And one of the things that we've done is we've extended all our exhibitions that are up right now a whole nother year. It was a cost saving measure rather than having the cost of putting in new exhibitions, and also because artists were, no one was able to see the work that's indoors because we're only open outdoors. But what we're doing with that time is we're really thinking thoughtfully about how Grounds for Sculpture's exhibitions could be more reflective of the evolving demographics of our region and our state, and maybe be more engaged, still have the joyful and the discovery and the things that people know of Grounds for Sculpture, but that also begin to think about issues of climate change and issues of social issues in the work that this next generation of artists are dealing with, both international but also definitely local. We've been talking a lot with some of our partners in Trenton, in Philadelphia, about ways that we could be impactful locally. So Tom, very timely question, because
Timely question, yeah.
we're
for
taking
sure.
some of this downtime to think about those.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are a diverse country. This is called a melting pot. From the beginning of time. So I'm glad that more businesses are incorporating diversity and making it aware, and being just conscious of how you speak and how you express and how you can be more inclusive. And one of the things about Princeton is that, right? I walk down the streets and I hear all these different languages, and I'm just like, so exciting, because we have it right here in I call it our little bubble, but I would love that the whole entire country was as open and diverse. We have one more question, and I think I have to wrap up. The last question is, what marketing channels seem to be working well for attracting new customers? We are a new business in Montgomery, New Jersey that opened amid COVID-19. Kudos to you, my friend. We are an after-school program that teaches kids how to code. Fantastic. That's coming from Michael Young. And then after that, one more question is, what challenges do you see for your staff members, interpersonal, emotional, and how are you managing your roles? So let's start with what's working on your marketing efforts. What platforms are working? I'll let that to Chris, since she has her own show.
Well, I'll tell you, I think Facebook Live is really working. Haven't gotten into Instagram Live, but I think if you're into that, I'd like to figure out how to do both, because there are two different sets of customers, I think, out there on that. And I will tell you, though, we also do a lot of email. And then if you do go live, what is really great is that, and they're turning the music on in the store. What's really great is you upload your video to YouTube.
Right.
Then it has a life of its own.
Yes.
And what we're finding is then we turn around and send those things out. And I cannot tell you the amount of views that we've gotten out of that. So I would definitely use all the social media. Those of you that are still into mailing, we do a lot of postcards. So I think you just use whatever vehicle works right with your customer.
Multiple. That's awesome.
And I would say, Esther, what we've done is Instagram is a big one for us. But the other thing that we've actually found is supporting the town topics and doing advertising in there. And it's funny, I think in this time, people actually want that paper. Like they want, it tends to be filled more, I think, with good news, kind of what's happening. It just kind of makes it feel a little more focused and homey and relevant to us or our community. Whereas like, if you look at the Times or the Post or whatever, it's just like, everything's on a bigger picture scale. And so we have found our customers like actually when we advertise in the town topics.
That's awesome. I do think it's a little bit of everything, it's like our country, right? A little bit of everything, and every little works, and every little creates this whole. And when you start to market in different platforms, you do create more viewership and more visibility for your business, and more awareness. And awareness is key, my friends. Awareness is number one when you are marketing. And the last question, and I'll ask this to Gary, since he has a staff, and what challenges do you see for your staff members, interpersonal, emotional, and how do you managing those roles? Do you see that in your place? Maybe you don't. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that, we each have our own sort of personal sort of kind of barriers that we put around COVID and how we're leading our lives, who we see, we don't see. So we've had to be really sensitive to, different staff members have different levels of comfort
Yeah.
with, exposure and with the rules. So we've had to kind of modify, and be very transparent when we're making a decision that, some staff feel isn't, restrictive enough, and then others feel it's too restrictive. So you have this balance that we see out in the world is mirrored in the work environment. And so we found that being transparent and just keeping open line of communications has allowed us to change when we need to, but also when we have a decision that some don't agree with, they at least understand how the process was arrived at, right?
Definitely.
Other thing is we're all
Sorry.
feeling, I was just going to say that we're all under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And, we're recognizing that visitors are coming to Grounds for Sculpture for that kind of restorative experience. We've had meditative walks and herbalism workshops and things of that sort, meditation, yoga. And we're beginning to offer that now also for our staff, because we realize that our
awesome.
staff needs to also be cared for.
That's right. Hey, Kathy, you have a big staff too. You have a large staff. How do you handle those things?
I mean, in some ways, very similar to what Gary was talking about. It's transparency. It's kind of making the rules pretty simple for everybody. And when there is different views on the rules that we're trying to implement, it's having open conversations. And, my biggest thing is you have to validate what somebody's saying before you can get them to hear what you are saying.
Mhm.
And so we work a lot on just, having that one-on-one conversation, maybe, one or two groups or one or two people together to kind of hammer out. We try to present. So this is what we see. This is what we're thinking about doing. We need your feedback. We really try to engage as much of the staff as we can as we look at shifting policies, particularly when you talk about starting to fold customers into the store space. Because, if you are doing this and you're not respecting their comfort level and the sacrifices that they're making. I mean, we have a front of house manager. She hasn't really been with her parents since this thing happened to protect them. So I can't impose a policy that doesn't respect the sacrifices that she's making to keep us all going forward. So it really is, I like to think, I used to love the expression, it takes a village before the pandemic. I really believe that now.
That's awesome.
So true.
I want to thank you all, Gary, Kathy, and Chris. You guys have been phenomenal in sharing your stories, your openness to help others who might be going through the same process as you heard the last person who just started a business. And I say kudos to you. Starting at the worst moment is the best moment, because from here you're going up, my friend. And so I also started at a very difficult time in my life. And today I get to enjoy doing this. I do work. And every day I work a little bit too much. But I love the energy. I love the positiveness. I love that you are handling every situation and the creativity. I always thought that as an entrepreneur, I always look at the artsy people and the singers and all the dancers. I'm like, oh, I wish I was like them, so creative. But we are creative because we're always thinking, how do we improve our services? How do we make it better for our staff? How do we make that experience for our customers better? And each of you have done that. So I commend you. I am excited to be here. If there's any other questions, please feel free to share it and we will ask. And if not, I think this is good. We are done. Have a fantastic, fantastic day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi,
Thank you.
everyone. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Esther, for your energy, and for Gary, Chris, and Kathy for you participating in this event today. You really shared, your conversation was extremely engaging, and your tips and tricks and all the creativity that you've expressed and shared with our audience is extremely valuable. So we really do greatly appreciate you being here. Really, thank you so much. Also, I'd like to thank our sponsor again, First Bank, and Tom for their support of this very important program and ongoing support of the Chamber. So thank you. We do have a few upcoming events. I just want to mention quickly, we do have our Women in Business virtual holiday networking on December 8th at 10 a.m. from 10 a.m. to 11:30. I hope you ladies can join us. Our Growing in Trenton, a conversation with Bernie Flynn, CEO of Mercer Street Friends. That's on December 10th from noon till 1 p.m. And then our holiday business after business virtual networking, December 16th, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Join us for a fun evening of networking, holiday trivia, ugly sweater or festive attire optional, and there will be some great door prizes. So thank you once again for joining us. Please think local businesses when you're shopping for services or doing your holiday shopping. We are stronger together. Let's remember that. And we're in this together. So let's keep our region strong. Have a wonderful afternoon. Be safe and stay well. Bye now.